Picture a parking lot in almost any other country on Earth. Small cars, hatchbacks, sedans. You could park in a closet. Now, picture an American parking lot today. Trucks with hoods taller than a grown man's chest. SUVs, the size of small apartments. Sedans have almost disappeared completely. Go to any American mall or grocery store and try to find a normal four-door car. You'll have to search for it, wedged between two pickups and a Suburban. Something happened to American vehicles, and it wasn't because Americans just personally decided they wanted bigger cars. It happened fast, driven by one oil crisis, one regulatory carve-out, and one executive who figured out how to build a family car that legally counted as a truck, and almost nobody noticed it happening. Before the 1970s, American cars were actually shrinking, not growing. Then came the 1973 oil embargo. Gas prices spiked overnight, lines wrapped around gas stations, and the country panicked about running out of fuel entirely. In response, Congress passed a law in 1975 to force automakers to build more efficient cars. It was called CAFE, Corporate Average Fuel Economy, and it worked exactly as intended, for cars. But there is a carve-out. Lawmakers created a separate, looser set of rules for light trucks, vehicles meant for farmers, construction crews, and haulers. The kind of vehicle nobody in their right mind would drive just to pick up groceries. At the time, trucks were only about a fifth of vehicles sold. The carve-out felt small. Nobody expected what came next. One of the men who saw the opening most clearly was Lee Iacocca, the auto executive behind Chrysler. He noticed that if a vehicle was legally classified as a light truck, it only had to meet the loose truck standard, not the strict passenger car standard. So in 1984, Chrysler released the Jeep Cherokee, marketed straight at families, built for school runs and road trips, but built on a truck frame. Legally, it was indistinguishable from a contractor's pickup. The rest of the industry noticed immediately, and this is what built the modern American road. If you could build the exact vehicle people wanted to buy, call it a light truck, and face a fraction of the regulatory burden while doing it, why would you keep building sedans? Through the late 1980s and 90s, the entire American auto industry pivoted around that one gap in the law. SUVs and trucks stopped being a niche and became the center of the market. Here's the detail that changes how you see every road you've ever driven on. It wasn't only about dodging regulation. Trucks and SUVs carried far higher profit margins than sedans ever did. A small car had thin margins and a mountain of competition. A truck-based SUV had loose rules, less competition, and buyers willing to pay a premium for the size and status. Detroit didn't just tolerate the loophole. It built its entire business model on top of it. By the 2000s, a new problem showed up. Traditional body-on-frame SUVs were enormous and thirsty right as gas prices climbed again. So automakers built the crossover, a vehicle built on a car platform underneath, but engineered on the outside, with the right ground clearance and body shape to still legally qualify as a light truck. The RAV4 in your neighbor's driveway, the CR-V, the Outback, they're not trucks in any real sense. They're sedans wearing a costume, built specifically to slip through the same 1975 crack in the law that the Jeep Cherokee found 40 years earlier. Today, the light truck category, originally built for farm equipment and work vehicles, covers the majority of passenger vehicles sold in America. The loophole meant to protect actual working trucks now defines what a normal family car looks like. We didn't end up with an entire country of giant vehicles because Americans uniquely wanted them more than anyone else on Earth. We ended up here because in 1975, in the middle of a fuel crisis, lawmakers drew one line in the wrong place, and for 50 years. The auto industry has been building directly on top of that line. Maybe the real question isn't why Americans love big trucks. Maybe it's why the vehicles in every driveway are still being shaped by a rule written for a crisis that ended half a century ago.